Thank you for watching my second video in the same day, second video in one day. My thoughts on the Kent Hovind debate. This one is unique in that usually Kent Hovind only debates somebody once, but he debated this one Jerome twice. Jerome, wow. Jerome's goal in this debate was to get Kent Hovind to admit to lying and being wrong. And he had 5 specific lies that he was accusing Kent Hovind of. The first lie that Jerome was accusing Kent Hovind of making is evolutionism is a religion. He used a bad definition of religion to get to this point. And Kent Hovind, he's probably done it, has pointed out that it's their God. He used a bad definition of God. Kent's not being inaccurate if he says evolution is somebody's God, just because other people, when they say God, mean a being. If it creates, which is what God does, and you don't believe God, then evolution does what God does. Does what another person believes God does. It's their God. It's not a hard concept to grasp, I didn't think. You know, if somebody doesn't have a car and they have a bicycle and you ask them, how are you going to, do you have a car to get to where we need to go? They might point to their bicycle and say, this is my car. Well, it's not a car, but to them it is. It does what the car does. One crazy thing that Jerome said at one point during the line number 1 segment, you're just repeating yourself. Well, one, you need to give Kent a chance to talk if you're accusing him of something, and that doesn't count. Just because Kent says something in a different previous video, that doesn't mean he's never allowed to say it again. Duh. People might not have seen the other videos, so it's alright if Kent says it again. Jerome seemed to be accusing, when he used the words, do you believe everything he says? Speaking to the audience, accusing everyone who watches the video and isn't as fired up as him of believing everything Kent Hovind says. That's a false dichotomy, and not the only one Jerome presented. You don't have to believe everything Kent says or none of what Kent says. You can believe some of it. Oh yeah. One definition of religion is what things are sacred. Jerome said, evolutionists don't believe evolution is sacred. Yes, they do. That's dishonest or stupid of him to say that no evolutionist looks at evolution as sacred. They go to court to keep it around. When, if it was really true, they would just need to prove it. I've never heard of anyone going to court to get gravity kept in the textbooks because there's proof of it. Nobody's had to go to court to get microevolution, speciation in the textbooks, or keep it in there, because that's a fact. It's proven by evidence. Line number 2. I forgot what line number 2 was, but one thing he said is, I don't care if evolution gets taken out of schools. I doubt he really meant that. I bet he would be screaming bloody murder if his other religion that he tries to hold at the same time as a branch of Christianity gets taken out of the schools. Yeah. During the line number 2 segment, Kent Hovind was trying to read from a textbook what the textbook said about evolutionism. And Jerome cut him off. Are you done talking? Are you done talking? I mean, Kent Hovind wasn't reading the whole chapter. You didn't get to finish a whole paragraph before. Can I stop? Can I talk now? Can I talk now? You're done talking. Right, so, Kent Hovind is obviously making a parody or sarcasm, summarizing the evolution, squeezing, evolutionary theory down into its simple basics when he says your grandfather is a rock. Jerome, wow. Maybe Jerome was, like, trying to help Kent because Kent looks so good in these videos. And Jerome looks so stupid. Kent's not literally saying rocks are alive giving birth, but if there's no God causing things to happen, and rain flooding a lifeless earth, and washes rocks into pools of primordial ooze, well, yeah, your grandfather is a rock. Now, line number 3, I forget what this lie was he was accusing Kent of, but wow, he told a lie. Multicellular organisms and colonies are not the same thing. In fact, Kent almost got him to say that, but then Jerome, this is so stupid. I can't believe I heard a human being say it. Jerome must be doing a parody to try to help Kent, because, wow, this was stupid. Multicellular organisms and colonies have really big differences. Like, the DNA is not exactly the same in the multicellular organisms. There can be, in these colonies, there can be genetic mutations and differences. And the cooperation isn't there. And if you take some of the colony away, the rest of them keep going. If you take, and they can all stay alive. I could take a cup of pond scum from one place, carry it down the street or down a trail, and dump it out somewhere else, assuming I dump it into an environment in which it can live. It's going to live, and nothing dies. If you take my hand off of me and throw it into the pond, it's going to die. And I did not just authorize anyone to do that. That's a hypothetical scenario. But cut a hand off of somebody, it's going to die. Because there's a difference. And, the multicellular animals, all those cells have to still be attached to the animal for it to be alive. Wow. I forgot what line number 4 was. I didn't notice anything especially interesting to talk about. No, maybe line number 4 was when they were talking about thermodynamics and the second law of thermodynamics. Line number 5, Kent Hovind points out that evolutionism, the religion, is taught in science classrooms in public schools, including younger schools, but still, point that out because maybe somebody would say, well, it would be different if we teach at universities where students are paying and adults, but so where's the burden of proof? Of course, it's on one claiming they have scientific theories that they want taught at taxpayer expense. Of course they've got the burden of proof. Jerome, didn't want to talk about that. He just wanted to talk about the evidence, but then he didn't want to talk about the evidence because he couldn't give proof and talk about proof of it actually, of macroevolution happening. But Jerome said, I don't work for the school system after Kent invited him to help make sure that textbooks are accurate. That was a stupid thing of him to say. I assume he lives in the United States of America where Kent Hovind lives and I live. If you live in any country that has some kind of elections, voting rights, direct democracy or elective representatives, then you can do something about public schools teaching things that aren't true. Or teaching religion in a science classroom. You can do something about it. Of course you can. Wow, you can Pay attention to who's on the school board. When there's like a school board candidate who's promising to keep religion out of the science classroom, vote for that person. You can do things. If nothing else, that, but if you're concerned about truth, you should see if you have time to volunteer for the school board candidates or go to school board meetings. There's things that can be done. And then Jerome said he wanted people to call him, and they said, okay, so you're authorizing us to give out your number? No. Well, how else are people going to call you so they can talk to you about Kent Hovind or the issue of the debate if they don't have your number? Wow. And those are things I noticed in this debate where Kent Hovind was accused of lying and more than ably defended himself against the weak accusations. Have a good day, and remember, turn to Kent Hovind for interesting talk, for scientific information, for an entertaining speaker. Don't turn to him for your theology, because he doesn't believe all that God has revealed. But there's some good food for thought in what Kent says, because the Bible is true. Have a good day.